Well, it's Friday,
Hi.
and I'm a French. Sorry, it's for those of you who don't come here often. We can never think of what to start with, so we just start talking. And we both have ADHD, and so who knows what's going to come out of our mouths. I swear we're not trying to be like, funny or anything.
Anyway, so we've been really getting into ancestry, and I like looking at newspapers and like finding family stuff. And so he got his DNA done. Did we tell? You know what? I don't care because there might be new people here.
It's possible. There's always been, in my family, I came from a really dysfunctional family because my mother was a psychopath. But there's always been these weird sort of rumors or whispers or hints about there being some kind of a paternity issue. My paternity. Well, turns out that it wasn't me. We did our DNA, both of us. Turns out there was a reason that there were hints of stuff like that. They were probably pointing at me because my mother didn't like me very much, but turns out that she was projecting because she was not the son. I'm sorry, she was definitely not the son. Her dad was not, good old Granddad Henry. Her dad, was another man entirely. It's wild.
Yeah,
it's wild.
But we have to start by explaining.
Wait, do we really want to go through this right now?
Why? When are we going to go through it?
I don't know. Let's trim it short. My mother's mother, she was the granddaughter of this Gilded Age robber baron, crazy rich guy, total nouveau riche.
Walter Leighton Clark, he has a wiki.
He does have a wiki, Walter Leighton Clark. But anyway, he was this self-made, insanely rich man. And he had, his eldest child was a daughter, my great-grandmother, and she was, just like my mother, she was sociopathic. She had zero empathy.
No, that's a psychopath.
Well, whatever. She was a piece of work, but her daddy was super rich. He was so rich that at my great-grandmother's wedding, they had 1,800 guests. The reception had 700. That's how much money they had. Now, my grandmother was the eldest daughter of that woman, my great-grandmother, and I don't think that she and her mother got along real well. And then, 1934, 35, the old man, Walter Leighton Clark, he's getting close, and he clocks out. He's gone. The old man's gone. My great-grandmother's husband, Douglas Dunn, gone. He remarried and got the hell away from her as fast as possible as soon as the old man was dead. Another guy who he had a lot of money. But then, so my mother was the product of a marriage because they all lived in the same town. They were all in Stockbridge, Massachusetts. My great-grandmother was this luminary, big deal, right? Can you imagine the scandal if it came to light that her daughter had a consensual, heat-of-the-moment affair with a man 30 years her senior who was a plumber. Yeah, I mean, by all accounts, he was a great guy. He was super involved in the community. He was in the church.
Good for him.
And good for him, man. Striking out of he was batting out of his league. Because my grandmother, she was.
We're talking about debutante stuff.
She was but she was she was a pretty lady. But she was even, you might even call her handsome. She was really striking. She had a striking she just had a really classic beauty to her. But she was also kind of a wild child, and she was, for example, a lifelong devoted nude sunbather. And she had books about, I remember in her house, that were written in the 30s talking about healthy sex and marriage. But anyway, I bet you she and her mother got into some frickin' blow up, and Nana was like, you know what, lady? He's dead. And I'm going to go do my own thing, and I'm tired of listening to you. And plus, these people, the Frenches and the Clarks, they'd been around each other all the time. George worked for the city. This is George French, my actual grandfather.
Born in 1884.
He could have gone to the 1892 World's Fair in Chicago. Can you imagine that? He could have had living memories of the 1892 World's Fair in Chicago. And the man lived till 1969, overlapping my birth. We actually lived simultaneously at the same time. But anyway.
Simultaneously at the same time.
Well, we did. I mean, I was alive if I was in utero, but does that count? Anyway, we're not going on that road. But Nana got knocked up. And what's a little something is that she actually, she had already previously been engaged to the man who's my actual my non-technical, non-biological grandfather. She had gotten, here, I'll insert a picture of Nana.
Oh, okay.
Here's a picture of my Nana from the night she got engaged to the man she would eventually marry, the man that I consider to be my grandfather. But this is that night. Okay, let's do wrist check.
All right. So I was trying to decide of a different watch to put on, and I went in the box, and I don't know what it is, but I thought it was neat.
Oh yeah, that is, this is a Landeron 248 chronograph in a nice, more modern diver case, which is cool. Diver chronograph, those are awesome. I never remember the name of it. I don't remember the name, but this is a beautiful watch. The only thing about it
What,
is...
it doesn't have the name on it?
Well, yeah, it does, but I can't remember it right now, and I can't read it because my eyesight is so not great. But the only thing about this is like it's got original lume, which is like super patinaed, but it's almost like I can't see it. I have to fight the urge to relume this all the time.
No.
But it's like it looks so much nicer the other way. And I have been wearing this, my 6105 8009 resist with a B movement that hacks from stock and a service handset. And I put it on a fish scale bracelet, a Stellux one. I love these bracelets. I've never found, I love these bracelets, but I've never found a watch that they really worked on for me. But it works really nicely. And I realized that might be in part because the shapes of the links, look at those sort of diamonds there. It mirrors the shape of the case. Plus, they're really, really comfortable. They're a beautifully comfortable strap. They don't grab or anything. They're super nice. I dig them. Okay. Well, it's Friday.
Hi.
And I'm a French. Sorry, it's... For those of you who don't come here often, we can never think of what to start with, so we just start talking. And we both have ADHD, and so who knows what's going to come out of our mouths. I swear we're not trying to be like, funny or anything.
Anyway, so we've been really getting into like ancestry, and I like looking at newspapers and like finding family stuff. And so he got his DNA done. Did we tell? You know what? I don't care because there might be new people here.
It's possible. There's always been, in my family, I came from a really dysfunctional family because my mother was a psychopath. But there's always been these weird sort of rumors or whispers or hints about there being some kind of a paternity issue. Like my paternity. Well, turns out that it wasn't me. We did our DNA, both of us. Turns out there was a reason that there were hints of stuff like that. They were probably pointing at me because my mother didn't like me very much, but turns out that she was projecting because she was not the son. I'm sorry, she was definitely not the son. Her dad was not, good old Granddad Henry. Her dad, was another man entirely. It's wild.
Yes,
it's wild.
But we have to start by explaining.
Wait, do we really want to go through this right now?
Why? When are we going to go through it?
I don't know. Let's trim it short. My mother's mother, she was the granddaughter of this Gilded Age robber baron, like crazy rich guy, like total nouveau riche.
Walter Leighton Clark, he has a wiki.
He does have a wiki. Walter Leighton Clark. But anyway, he was like this self-made, insanely rich man. And he had, his eldest child was a daughter, my great-grandmother, and she was, just like my mother, she was like sociopathic. She had zero empathy.
No, that's a psychopath.
Well, whatever. She was a piece of work, but her daddy was super rich. He was so rich that at my great-grandmother's wedding, they had 1,800 guests. The reception had 700. That's how much money they had. Now, my grandmother was the eldest daughter of that woman, my great-grandmother, and I don't think that she and her mother got along real well. And then, 1934, 35, the old man, Walter Layton Clark, he's getting close, and he clocks out, he's gone. The old man's gone. My great-grandmother's husband, Douglas Dunn, gone. He remarried and got the hell away from her as fast as possible as soon as the old man was dead. Another guy who he had a lot of money. But then, so my mother was the product of a marriage because they all lived in the same town. They were all in Stockbridge, Massachusetts. My great-grandmother was this luminary, big deal, right? Can you imagine the scandal if it came to light that her daughter had a consensual, heat-of-the-moment affair with a man 30 years her senior who was a plumber. Yeah, I mean, by all accounts, he was a great guy. He was super involved in the community. He was in the church.
Good for him.
And good for him, man. Striking out of his... Man, he was batting out of his league. Because my grandmother, she was...
We're talking about, like, debutante stuff.
She was... but she was... she was a pretty lady. But she was even... You might even call her handsome. She was really striking. She had a striking... she just had a really classic beauty to her. But she was also kind of a wild child. And she was, for example, a lifelong devoted nude sunbather. And she had books about, I remember in her house, that were written in the 30s talking about healthy sex and marriage. But anyway, I bet you she and her mother got into some frickin' blow up. And Nana was like, you know what, lady? He's dead. And I'm going to go do my own thing. And I'm tired of listening to you. And plus, these people, the Frenches and the Clarks, they've been around each other all the time. George worked for the city. This is George French, my actual grandfather.
Born in 1884.
He could have gone to the 1892 World's Fair in Chicago. Can you imagine that? He could have had living memories of the 1892 World's Fair in Chicago, and the man lived till 1969, overlapping my birth. We actually lived simultaneously at the same time. But anyway.
Simultaneously at the same time.
Well, we did. I mean, I was alive if I was in utero, but does that count? Anyway, we're not going on that road. But Nana got knocked up. And what's a little something is that she actually, she had already previously been engaged to the man who's my actual my non-technical, non-biological grandfather. She had gotten, here, I'll insert a picture of Nana.
Oh, okay.
Here's a picture of my Nana from the night she got engaged to the man she would eventually marry, the man that I consider to be my grandfather. But this is that night. And here is a picture of George back when he had married his first wife. And, he was apparently a charming person because he fathered children with 3 different women. He married 2 of them. I think he would have married Nana, but her, see you in person, her mother, I'm sure the scandal would have been unbearable. Her daughter marrying a guy who works for the city, 30 years her senior, and so Nana didn't get to marry him. She instead married her college roommate's brother, and they were very happy. They had a great life. They had more kids, and they were very they were good. But George married again after this. He married another woman. Younger than Nana. And I was looking him up. I saw him in the census for 1950. It's head of the household. There he is, old George. 65. Wife, 31. Girl child, 3. Good living. Anyway, so we've decided that in the movie, she's going to be played by Alison Brie. I think it's almost perfect. Bring up pictures of Alison Brie and look, they have the same shaped face. They both have the big blue eyes and the long nose.
Yeah, but my nose isn't straight long.
I don't know, but I was amazed, actually. There's a lot going on there. And me, Seth Rogen. Who's going to play Rocket?
I don't know. Anyway.
Oh, let's do wrist check. Okay, let's do wrist check.
All right. So I was trying to decide of a different watch to put on, and I went in the box, and I don't know what it is, but I thought it was neat.
Oh, yeah, that is, this is a Landeron 248 chronograph in a nice, more modern diver case, which is cool. Diver chronograph, those are awesome. I never remember the name of it. I don't remember the name, but this is a beautiful watch. The only thing about it
What,
is...
it doesn't have the name on it?
Well, yeah, it does, but I can't remember it right now, and I can't read it because my eyesight is so not great. But the only thing about this, it's like, it's got original lume, which is like super patinaed, but it's almost like I can't see it. I have to fight the urge to relume this all the time.
Don't.
But it's like, it looks so much nicer the other way. And I have been wearing this, my 6105 8009 Resist, with a B movement that hacks from stock and a service handset. And I put it on a fish scale bracelet, a Stellux one. I love these bracelets. I've never found, I love these bracelets, but I've never found a watch that they really worked on for me. But it works really nicely. And I realized that might be in part because the shapes of the links, look at those sort of diamonds there. It mirrors the shape of the case. Plus, they're really, really comfortable. They're a beautifully comfortable strap. They don't grab or anything. They're super nice. I dig them. Okay.
I still cannot read what kind of watch this is.
Why can't I remember the name?
I don't know. Here, maybe.
I can't read. I don't.
There was a loop in here.
Oh yeah.
Where did it go?
I'm sorry. The loop's right here.
Oh, there you go.
Let's do this thing. Don't try to balance your glasses on your knees, people. Oh yeah, Ullmann. Uhlmann. Ullmann Geneve. That's such a pretty watch. And unlike a lot of the Swiss watches of this time, the hands are not blobby and round topped. They're perfectly flat topped. I don't know, man. That lume bums me out.
I like it.
Well, the thing is I think it's radium. I don't think it's tritium.
Oh.
Well, no, but
I don't want to wear it anymore.
Well, no, but if it's tritium, I should be able to clean those. I should give it a whirl. I've never.
How do you know what it is?
Radium has a real particular brown puffy look to it. It looks like almost looks like spray insulation foam. If it was like this, like this color, but like that spray insulation foam. And so that's what it looks like, and it tends to be really kind of sandy looking, like old vintage Rolexes look like that, and they tend to be. They also, if they're original, they will have burned the plastic dial because of the radiation that they have. There's no greater danger. The radiation can't make it out. It's
Scary.
yeah, I think it's not beta radiation, which is the thing. It's alpha particles, which can be stopped by a piece of paper. That's my understanding. Don't eat them though. No, this is really neat. I'm kind of tempted now. I wouldn't relume it, but I tell you, if my lume cleaning could attack that handset, it'd be a lot prettier.
I don't need an irradiated husband.
Well, no, but if it's tritium, it doesn't matter.
I don't care. It's scary.
I've been doing lines of tritium for decades now. Okay, let's do this thing.
Okay. From the Golden Tuna video. It's from Panagiotis Pitropo 3750. Hello, is it me or the calendar side? Is it exactly the same as a 6309? Good job as always, by the way.
Yep, absolutely. There, and as I said in the comments, good eye. The 754X movements, which started with the 7549 and worked down in terms of their application. The 7549 was the lead movement and it was designed specifically for the 600 meter golden tuna and the 300 meter classic tuna. But they built it right off 6000 architecture, 6009 architecture. Everything on the front, on the calendar side is exactly the same. 100%. Not only that, the movements, you can take a 754 blank and put it into a 6309 case, or vice versa, or a 6105. You can flip them back and forth all the time. Yeah, they're exactly the same. It's one of the neater things that Seiko did at that point. I don't know why they decided to do that, but I guess, I don't know. It's rare for Seiko to try to do like a cost-saving measure like that. Normally they just say screw it and they come up with a whole new movement.
So, and that's, I don't know.
That's what?
I was going to say, so they don't do the cost-effective thing? Is that
No,
what-
they always do the cost-effective thing.
Okay.
I mean, they didn't jewel.
So building a whole new movement is more cost-effective than...
They might, I don't know. The thing is, I don't know what their understanding is. Like, sometimes they seem like they're super cheap and they're trying to shave pennies. And then other times it's like, you know, they're making an entire run of a component or a part or a crystal or a case for a watch model that no one's ever heard of. You know, and sometimes, I mean, they have some quartz movements that are just like, why do you have all these different movements that do the exact same thing? And it was maybe to increase sales, but so I'm not used to them saying, well, let's sort of just use what we got. I wonder if it was the design team, because that fellow and his design team, they did the 6105s and the 6306s, 6309s, and the grandfather tunas, and all that. Maybe they were like, they didn't want to change anything of the aesthetics.
Maybe.
Because the tuna, the original tuna, was originally, that was the 6159, a high beat movement. And it was in that big grandfather tuna case, that titanium case. And then when they came out with the golden tuna, it was the same exact case. Literally, their exact same case, except
Why'd you point at me?
because you're right. Literally, the cases are identical, except the golden tuna has titanium nitride plating on its gold.
Wait, what am I right about?
Everything. But so anyway, in fact, I can put a little quick picture or segment here. Can you make a note about I can actually show both those cases right next to each other. Okay, so there's my golden tuna. Titanium case, solid titanium case, titanium nitride plated, rated to 600 meters, 2.5 millimeter thick. Actually, it might be 3. Well, I'm not sure. I'll have to check. Bidirectional, 120 click bezel, screw down crown. The crown inlet set, it screws into the case, and the crystal is held in place with a screw down crystal ring, which you don't see on here because it's not on right now. This, well, the inside is a 7C46 Darth tuna, but the outside is the original 6159 first tuna case, grandfather tuna. And if you look, man, the cases are exactly the same. They're even made in the same way with the same brushing. I think they just cranked them out and they were like, okay, what are we gonna have to do to separate it? Oh, I got an idea. Let's play titanium nitride. That'll be awesome. But other than that, it's exactly the same. You can see that big old crown right there, and it insets into the case right in there. I gotta find a rotating ring. That's the one thing. God, I need to find a rotating ring, and then I can build something with that. The other thing that the 61 they did change for the Goldens is the original 6159 shroud has this big sort of shoulder on it or something like that, and it's exactly the same. It'll fit right on this case, but it makes the watch just look really imposing. It just makes it look just a whole lot bigger. I'll put it on this for a second. So here are the two shrouds. Oh, the other thing the 6159 shroud came, they put a whole bunch of extra finishing into it. See, this is just plated underneath on the bottom. Looks really business-like. But these have this high polish under curve. And you can see that the increased, thing there. So then when you put that on there, pretending, of course, that it has a rotating ring, which it doesn't. Right off there, stop it. So it makes it look a lot more imposing. At least to my mind, it does. I've only got 2 of the original titanium screws. This was a case that Stephen Moore actually found for me. Stephen Moore over there in the Isle of Man, he keeps an eye out for me for things, and if he sees something that he thinks I might dig, he'll give me a heads up about it, which is awful nice of him. We've done a lot of work together. So I am still looking for a rotating ring for this. It's got to be for the Golden or for the Grandfather. Those are the only 2 that'll fit. The later 7Cs I don't believe will, but I gotta not cross strip this. That's what. Whenever you're screwing down one of these shrouds, you don't ever. It's just like you don't want to bolt. It's just like bolting down the head in a car. You don't tighten everything until you get everything ready and set to the right thing. Otherwise, you're gonna warp something. Or you're gonna strip the thread. I wonder if this one does this one have? Do I need to clear out the? I might need to clear the threads on that one. Let's try this over here. Oh, it's not aligned. That doesn't help us any. I'm not being as careful, but it's my darn watch, so whatever. I'm not going to push it. It's interesting. The cases are exactly the same size, but it really does change the look and feel of it. Cool. Okay, so I just imagined a scenario. Because 6159s, their production was pretty short. 75, 76, something like that. And that's right when the Golden Tuna came in. They probably didn't even change the tooling for the case. They already had a lot of experience building quartz. Maybe they were just like, well, we don't want to mess with the case, and they went straight from the 6159 right into the Golden Tuna. So they must have kept all the basic tooling, because the 6159 is a 6000 series movement.
Why didn't they keep making them for longer than they did? Do you know?
Well, they made the Golden Tunas for a long time.
No, I mean the 6159s.
Super expensive. Also, remember at the early 70s, when the Grandfather Tuna started, it was still a mechanical watch world. And then, when the quartz revolution happened, everybody stopped making or greatly reduced the number of mechanical watches they were making because they were so expensive. But also, Seiko basically created quartz, and they wanted to show what quartz could do. And they felt that in terms of accuracy and time telling, nothing was going to be better. So they moved to quartz. And also, wouldn't that be fun? It would be so fun to take a 7549 and a 6159 and take them completely apart, every single part, just to see the difference of volume and the number of parts in a 7549 versus the bewildering array of stuff in a 6159. They must have saved a ton of money. And they could say 1 tick per second, total accuracy. But they didn't have to change the tooling either.
Okay.
I bet that's part of it. I bet you anything. I could be wrong, but who knows?
Anyway, from Jogi Glenn Myatt 16, are the latest Seiko prospects as durable as these older ones? I'd love to see some of my new Seikos be with me for decades, hopefully.
Well, the newer Seiko tuners, they have the 7C46 movement, which was the successor to the 7549, as Seiko does. They streamlined the movement, and they were able to. The movements are just more. Pardon me, I have a hair. It keeps going this way up from my mustache there. I tried trimming my stuff earlier, but clearly I wasn't fully successful.
The modern new.
Oh yeah. Well, for one thing, let's start with the outside. The outside, they look essentially identical, and for all of their other weird issues with, sales support and that kind of stuff, their casework has never flagged. Seiko's casework is still exquisite. So yeah, they've been making the 7C movements since 1986. And that's when they introduced the first 7C tunas, and they're making 7C tunas to this day. Again, they're a simpler movement, but they're an all-metal train. They've got jewels in there. They don't have a variable trimmer, but they don't really seem to need one. There's a couple leads that you can basically cut that will change the effective length of the coil wire, which will make it go faster or slower or something like that. I've never had to use them. They're typically pretty good and accurate, and Seiko still makes them today. So yeah, I think a modern tuna is perfectly fine. Absolutely, 100%.
Oh, I didn't do that one yet. Okay. James Z. Hain. Lovely watch and lovely job. Just can't believe anyone wore a standard Seiko rubber strap that long. I find them the most stubborn and uncomfortable straps in the world, especially with the super sharp metal keepers. At least this one didn't have that.
Yeah, well, they're not for everybody. If you're talking about, it depends what kind of strap you're talking about. The old school flat vents like that, they're actually pretty not bad. I would wear them more often, except for the fact that I know for a fact that Seiko's rubber straps are the old ones are prone to just like almost shattering. I've had newer genuine Seiko ones. Was it a DL1 PB? Maybe it was, and I don't remember how old it was, but I got my hand caught on something and I had to like bend it slightly, and it just came apart.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, but I think the thing is sometimes they're kind of stiff.
Yeah, they get really, really hard.
Yeah, there's not visually. I think it's really hard to beat a flat vent. I like the way they look. I don't mind wearing them. They're a little bulky for me these days because I've been sizing down my watches. I'm starting to head into like the 38 to 40, but really more like the 36 to 38, 39 range. Weirdly, I mean that's all the stuff I dig now is like that, and that's pretty big. But yeah, so I get you. Yeah, rubber straps. It's tough. Sometimes they just don't, feel right or fit right or wherever the heck it is. That's an original GLA 31 on this mix and match Hong Kong Sua. Everything on the inside's from 1977, July 77. The case is a service case from 1980, very late 1980. That's the original GLA 31. These aren't bad, but they can just break without warning. But if they're good, they're good. What's it say there? Yep. Yeah, GLA 31, 22 millimeter. Cool. Here's the other Tuna. This is the 7549 7010 versus the 7549 7000. This is actually, I've had this strap forever. It's not a Seiko strap. I don't know who made it. It's an almost one-to-one knockoff of it. I put a Seiko buckle on it, but it's not by Seiko. But the material, I think, is vinyl, but it's not grippy and sticky because it has this on the back. It's actually one of my favorite straps. And there's something about these dive watches on there. Sorry, that's storage dust. Something about these dive watches on these straps, I just think it looks real purposeful to me. This is another one. This is not Seiko, but it's really nice quality. Again, I swapped over the bracelet, the buckle, and this is a Seiko keeper. I don't know who made this or what it was for. There's no branding on it, and whatever the material is, I think it's actually vinyl like this. But it's got this matte finish. It's a really comfortable strap, and the sort of matte finish of it versus the semi shiny of that looks really boss with that golden tuna. This is mine, by the way.
Martin McGuire 8006. Love that Seiko. Is the movement on the newer version jeweled? Really thinking of getting one.
Are we still in the golden tuna section?
Yeah.
Yeah. The 7Cs are jeweled. They're all metal. They have an all metal train. They have a big plastic circuit, and they're more like Seiko does a lot of stuff where instead of having big, heavy pieces of metal like in the 7548 or 7549 series, they're more modern quartz watches where you have much thinner stamped metal plates with a thinner plastic membrane circuit with a CMOS in there. And instead of everything being totally screwed together, a lot of the things kind of click together or spring-wise, and then you have a few screws that hold them down. But whatever Seiko did, that does not seem to be a factor. They will run and run and run and run and run and run. Run and run and run. Oh, and the main plates are this sort of, it's not a plastic. I wouldn't call it a plastic. Maybe it is, but it's like this, almost like this phenolic resin fibrous hard material. And it's quite durable, unfortunately, unless there's a battery leak. If there's a battery leak...
Well, that would kill anything.
Well, yeah, this stuff, though, that you think they're putting it in a battery watch, the black spacer blocks is what they call them. You get battery acid on them, or battery corrosive material, electrolyte, and the stuff the fibers just start coming out of it.
That's crazy.
Somehow it destroys the binding agent or something. Huh. But, so it would have been nice if they'd not done that, but a serious electrolyte leak, I've seen it do terrible things to an all-metal movement.
Why do you think? Is it common for it to happen? You're
to,
talking like it's something that happens all the time.
In the old days, it used to happen a lot because not everything was silver oxide. It'd be alkaline. Remember those batteries we got from Amazon? Alkaline, leaking everywhere? And that was the deal. So, but silver oxide typically won't because they don't have an issue where the electrolyte starts degrading immediately and attacking the seals. Silver oxide doesn't do that.
Okay. Speedy Paul 2314. I don't know why, but I find these quartz repairs super cool. What a great watch. If you have fallen out of love with the 62 AM MAS, I will forward my address so you can check it in this post. Friggin' oh God, he's making the video.
That video.
Not the Tuna one.
The 5126 video.
The one we're going to talk about next.
That one.
And he was like, where's this watch? And I was like, I don't know. Well, no, first he was like, look at this watch, look at this watch. It was
right,
those
I was
two.
Comparing these two.
It was those two watches.
And then I was like, hey, I've got a poor man's 62 MAS in here. I have to go find it.
Yeah, and then he goes and finds it. And
12 minutes later.
It was 12 minutes?
12 minutes between turning off the camera and coming back and saying, where's that watch? 12 minutes.
Where's the 62 MAS?
I lost the 62 MAS for like a week. Turns out, we were looking everywhere. I went through the garbage. I pulled the garbage out of the thing, and I was like, maybe it somehow fell in the garbage can. And, I was thinking, I hope Sebastian didn't flush it. Is it in your car? No, it's not in your car. Out in the middle of the night, looking under the seats with a flashlight. Turns out that big servicing guy that I had, and the watches, I just closed the watch inside the book, and then I put the book on the shelf.
He was like, it wasn't like 12 minutes. I was like, yes, you showed me the watch. I came back in the room, and suddenly it was gone.
Yeah, and I looked at the timestamps on the video sections, and sure enough. Yeah, but it was lost for a week.
Okay, well, now we're going to talk about the other poor man's 62 MAS. Ugh. Okay, the wristwatch experience 8153. When all else fails, read the manual.
I tell you, the thing is, see, look, literally, except for the date and the top finishing, the dials are 1-to-1. They're exactly the same. I think actually it's a good illustration. Maybe it's like my theoretical Tuna case swap over where they went just from one to the other. They kept the tooling and kept going. These are 1-to-1. I think Dynie they had the tooling and they were like, well, let's crank out some more because we're all doing these new sport divers. I don't know. We got the dial. Let's jack it in there with sports diver. Why not? And there you are. I love this watch. In fact, these three, 6105 8009, 6217 8001, 5126 8080. These are all I've been wearing. Usually I'm wearing two of them and carrying the third.
Unless you lose it in a book.
Unless I lose it in the book. What was his question?
When all else fails, read the manual.
Oh yeah, I tell you, the thing is, my problem is that I rely way too much on my memory. Because of my ADHD, I have pretty severe ADHD. I cannot take notes. I can't take notes. I've never been able to. I just didn't realize it. I just thought I was bad at it. I cannot take notes. So everything I do has to be in my memory. Problem with memory is that if you've forgotten something, you don't remember that you've forgotten it. So the thing is, I ripped into this 5126 and I actually kind of confused it in the 5200 series, and I think a little bit of the 8300 series, and so I was a little befuddled. That happens regularly. Why not? But yeah, I had the manual. Thank God too, because you open that up, man, you need that reference material. I should be in the habit of reviewing the manuals before going into a movement, but I told myself, oh, it's a 5126. How hard can it be? Well, the 5126 is built more like a Swiss watch, so it has unsecured shepherd's crook springs in it, which go boop, and each one is different. They're different lengths, materials, and thicknesses. 3 of these little U-shaped springs. They're tiny little things, easy to lose. It has a number of interlocking components. It doesn't have it has a separate barrel bridge with the train bridge, which is nice, but then you've got all this other stuff. It's more together. And if I didn't, I have to have the manual, man. Got to do it. No, there's no shame in checking your documentation.
On another topic, so I'm thinking about your new bench and how it has the thing that pulls out to catch stuff. Is it bouncy?
It's like a hammock.
I know, but if something springs.
No. It's loose. It's not like a.
Oh, I was like, they should make one that has like sticky stuff on it.
Yeah, no, it's just loose. Okay, so I got a real old school watchmaker's bench, really old one. There was an estate sale one town over from a watch guy who passed, and the local horological group let me know, and I went and bought it. So, but yeah, it's got this thing. You ever repaired a watch on your watch bench? You drop something, whoop, it's on the floor. Crap. This thing has this like sliding tray drawer that comes out, and it's open in the middle, and it has this just like white canvas, and it's not tight at all. It's just kind of floppy. And now I wondered why it was done that way, but now you say that, I'm like, I wonder if that was part of the reason why.
Probably.
I keep forgetting it's there. I keep not using it.
U8208. Hi, sir. Where did you find the Seiko documentations?
Well, that's a little tough. There was a guy we were just talking about this the other day. There was a guy named Jonathan Koch back in the day, Jonathan Koch. And he was a jeweler in the 60s and the 70s, and he was really taken with what Seiko was doing in those days, the golden age of Seiko. And he became basically the number one like cheerleader and popularizer of collecting vintage Seikos long before anybody else did it. But he was kind of like the godfather, the grandfather of the vintage Seiko movement, if you will. And I worked with I worked with him, and I did his watches for him, his movement work, and he did like dials and the restorations and things. But we worked together, and we were friends. I think I was the last non-family member to speak to him, actually. But anyway, he was a good dude, and he wanted to help us out, so he shipped us all this stuff because he didn't do that kind of movement work. I don't even know how much material he had in his house. He didn't do movement work. His eyes weren't good enough, and he was too shaky. And so when I started doing his work, he shipped them off to me. Now, I never thought that getting them was a real big deal because, I mean, at that point, you could get them on eBay. Probably still can, but I don't know that you can. So my brain says, oh, you just go on eBay. They have them. I don't think they do. So I don't know. That's the only thing. You have to look for, people who have passed. You can maybe call jewelers and say, hey, man, do you guys still have your old Seiko manuals? And see if they say yes. Because Seiko's documentation is pretty irreplaceable. They show you all the stuff that's important, and they have the whole process laid out, start to finish. How you do it and what steps and troubleshooting. Their troubleshooting section in those manuals for the 6138s and the 6139s, absolutely irreplaceable knowledge. If it wasn't for those things, I mean, the chronograph bridges, the way that the chronographs are set up on those watches, it's a lot of it is like balanced spring power. They're not like bolted together like Swiss watches, gears, click, 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 click. 6139 has these spring clips and stuff, and there's all these adjusters for the arms. And if one thing gets pushed out of place, then it pushes all this other stuff out of place so the watch would work. And so if you don't, so everything goes out of place, and then you have to sort of comb it backwards to fix that stuff and put everything back the way it's supposed to be. Seiko has some pretty clear and easy checks. You look through this service window. Do you see the 3 gears of the teeth, or are they this way or whatever? Lots of stuff like that. But if you didn't, once you understand it, oh, sure, that's fine, you get it. But without that documentation, it could be tough. I don't know. We were talking about maybe we could start putting...
scanning them and putting them on there. I might start doing that. I don't know.
Yeah, I was thinking, we were talking about it, like maybe we could do it by movement, the full like pro like servicing guide on how you do the 5106 or 6309 or the 4006. Because I thought this information was pretty commonly available, but apparently it's not. It's irreplaceable though.
Okay. I believe ye. 10-minute workshop. Great to hear your thoughts on this. I managed to pick one up a few years ago. It's the only Seiko I have from the 60s. Your loom is in much better shape than mine.
Your loom can be cleaned. I cleaned my loom. Mine wasn't bad, but it was a little stained. Here, I'll insert a picture. I pushed the wrong thing.
Okay. Next up.
Oh, wait. All I wanted to say is I'm going to make a separate video on these. Where's the third one? I'm going to make...
Was that the 62 MAS?
Yeah, it was a 62 MAS. I'm going to make a video just on these 3, and I want to talk about them because I am amazed that more people aren't looking for these. I'm amazed. I'm going to start looking for another one. They're just, it's a great watch. It's been a really, really long time since I've been this truly and genuinely moved by a watch. On to you.
On to me. Okay, so this is from the previous mail call. Mike2662. The SKX Jubilee bracelet is the most comfortable watch bracelet I've ever worn. Breathable, articulate, tapered, and light.
Yeah, the weird thing is a lot of people bitch about the standard 007 Jubilee, the solid link one.
Why?
The first generation of that Seiko Jubilee was folded link. And so they were kind of chintzy feeling, if you want to put it that way. But then Seiko moved to solid stainless steel, and they're beautifully made. They're super comfortable. I almost think it's one of those things where people complain about the modern ones because they heard about the complaints about the previous model, which was the folded one. And unless you're looking at them really close, you can't actually really tell, but you can hear it and you can feel it. So the second gen solid stainless steel ones are just fantastic.
Okay.
What I want to do actually, when we get a compressor and a sandblaster, I'm going to start media blasting them so they're all frosted like a Z199. Okay.
Joseph Stewart 4660. Question for next mail call: 6309 or 7002 movements. Which, in your humble opinion, is the better movement?
You guys are going to kill me, but honestly, the 7002. No, Diny's aesthetics are the best, and Seiko's all their heavy hitters are based on Sua cosmetics. But Dynie makes the movements now. And the 7002 was the first Dynie mainline diver. People bitch about them because they don't like that Prometheum loom, that gray loom. They don't like it. And the fact there's no bevel on the date window. People think it looks a little cheap. The loom's green. But the movements are all metal. And the 7002 movements, holy crap, are they accurate. They shouldn't be any more or less accurate than any of the other 7000 series. 7000, 7000. There is a 7001, 7005, 7006, 7009, blah, 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 all that other kind of stuff. But I tell you, the 7002 movements, there's something about them. They're so good. They're so accurate. All metal. Not that there's anything wrong with 6309. 6309 is that Seiko did a few things. They used a really big balance It's almost 1-to-1, just like the Omega Speedmaster balance. And the wheels are big too. When you have big wheels and a big balance, you've got to push the train really hard because all the math, the leverages are off. And so they had to have a really powerful mainspring. And what happens with a really powerful mainspring is that it has a lot of force being put through the train. And it causes a lot of wear. 7000 series, not like that at all. They got little wheels, they got a beautiful little balance, and maybe it means they have less like positional accuracy and stability, but the 7000 movements, there's a reason Seiko went with them. I mean, I love the 6000 movements, I really do. I really do. But in my opinion, best one honestly is the 6200. They're not quite in the same thing, but these definitely came out of that same lineage. I can see how the 6000 series movements came out of this. So I would say of the 6000 series, unofficially, including this one, this is the best 6000 series, but Daini takes the cake.
Okay.
That's about it.
Yep.
Anything else?
Nope.
Okay. Well, remember, Seth Rogen, Allison Brie. So if either of you, any of you people know them, like you see them in
Or they happen to be watching.
Or they happen to be watching. But anyway, if you see them in like the corner store or something, or looking at the dairy section of the supermarket, or, in line at McDonald's or whatever, just, after you're done saying hi, you just tell them about that. Because we want to get that inked in.
Yes.
All right, folks, you have a good weekend. Bye. I think I got it.
Did you press the button?
I don't know what I did. It's recording.
I don't know. Press the thing.
No, it's definitely recording.
No, press the whole... No.
Huh?
I thought you pressed the thing.